Howdy, folks. It's America's 250th birthday, and today I am bringing you a story from one of the states, that is Wyoming, and a place just about as close as you can get to the middle of nowhere, that is Poverty Flats, Wyoming. And this is Untold Tales from This Side of Nowhere. Before we get rolling with today's America Birthday Bash, here is a message from our sponsors. We're sponsored by the Copper Corner Cafe in Basin, Wyoming. The Copper Corner Cafe is open for breakfast and lunch Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Stop by and try any of their delicious menu items featuring homemade bread for all sandwiches. Ooh, that sounds good to me. And of course, their famous pie for dessert. Breakfast is served all day, so come on in to the Copper Corner Cafe. If you're farming in the Bighorn Basin, you know that input prices aren't doing us any favors this year. Between the high cost of nitrogen and the falling price of sugar, every pound of fertilizer has to count. That's why 307 Pest Management LLC is offering something straightforward, the risk-free First 40. I'll bring my multispectral drone to your field and map your first 40 acres for free. We'll look at the soil variability, identify the low-yield zones, and create a precision prescription file for your VRA equipment. If the data doesn't show you a clear path to saving money or boosting your stand, you don't owe me a dime. Don't leave your yields to guesswork. Let's see what's actually happening in your soil before the planners roll. Search 307 Pest Management LLC on Facebook or call me, Connor, to book your first 40 today. That's 307-250-0614. So it is the 4th of July, and it is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And for today's episode, it's actually going to be kind of short. It's been a crazy week, but it is a top 10 list. I'm recording here with my baby Timothy, so if he makes any noises, you might hear him in the background. He's dressed in red, white, and blue, by the way. We went out to the Cody Stampede parade this morning. It lasted an hour and a half for a Wyoming parade. That's pretty good. And there were lots of people there. There were some Wyoming authors as the grand marshals. There was author Craig Johnson, who wrote the Longmire novels, and a few other Wyoming writers. And I thought that was pretty cool. Lots of other great floats. My son William, loved the 86 tractors that were in the parade. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to celebrating the 4th of July. But before we get to our festivities, it's Saturday morning, and we got to have a story from this side of nowhere. So this topic is actually one that my twin brother Adam brought up. He said, you need to do one about only in Wyoming. So here goes. This year, the World Cup has been held across venues in North and South America, and that means the U.S. has been in the world's eye, and not just for soccer. I read an article the other day about how professional soccer players and fans alike have fallen in love with the U.S. In fact, one famous soccer player was photographed in a Georgia Walmart stocking up on all his favorite groceries. A Swedish fan was interviewed talking about how much he loves the jerky at Buc-ee's, and he was even sporting a cowboy hat purchased at the mega gas station. The TSA put out a public service announcement reminding fans from other countries returning home that you cannot take bottles of ranch dressing on an airplane in your carry-on. Reading all these things has made me chuckle, and it's brought home to me the fact that the United States is an amazing place, and things we take for granted would be considered novelties in most of the world. Now, the World Cup games have only been played in large cities from Seattle to Boston, but I wonder, what would the world find most interesting about Wyoming? What are some things that are unique to the Cowboy State? And so, Here is my top 10 only in Wyoming compilation, with help from some family members. Number 1, drive up liquor. I've heard more than one out-of-stater express disbelief that you can actually purchase alcohol in Wyoming while driving your car. I don't drink myself, so I guess I never really gave this concept a second thought. But I can see why it would have someone scratching their head. If it's illegal to drink and drive, why sell booze to someone while they're driving? I'm certain all the containers are closed when they are handed to the vehicle's operator, right? To my knowledge, drive-up liquor doesn't happen anywhere else, only in Wyoming. Number 2, most of Yellowstone National Park. I know Montana and Idaho stake their claims to Yellowstone, but if we're being completely honest, 96% of Yellowstone National Park sits firmly within the confines of Wyoming's bounds. You'll see signs touting the beauty of Yellowstone National Park and directions to get there all over Montana, but only 3% of the park is actually in Montana, and the remaining 1% is in Idaho. The east entrance, located near Cody, Wyoming, is the gateway to Old Faithful, Yellowstone Lake, and all that the park has to offer. So, I would say Yellowstone is pretty much only in Wyoming. Number 3, the largest wild bison herd in the world. If we're talking about Yellowstone, we have to mention the American bison. Yellowstone is home to nearly 5,000 free-range bison, which makes it the undisputed winner when it comes to seeing these massive beasts. I once brought a friend from California to Yellowstone, and when we encountered our first buffalo, we had to stop the car. "Holy cow, Nancy!" my friend Nelson exclaimed. "It's huge!" And he was right. Adult male bison can reach a towering height of 6.5 feet and weigh more than 2,000 pounds. My buddy was awestruck. I remember standing on the side of the road watching this modern-day mammoth munch on grass as a gentle breeze ruffled our hair. Nelson's wife snapped picture after picture of the huge, curly-haired animal while he eyed us with a bored expression. "Where do they go at night?" Nelson asked me. "Do they put them back in their cages?" I couldn't help but laugh. "No, Nelson, they just live out here. There are no cages. This is its home." Nelson was dumbstruck. "So the animals just wander around? This isn't like the San Diego Zoo." Indeed it isn't. Only in Wyoming. Number 4. My brother in Washington State said, "Only in Wyoming do folks say it's a 30-minute drive like it's just around the corner." This one is so true. Wyoming residents far outdrive everyone in the other 50 states. On average, Wyomingites drive 24,069 miles per year, which is almost twice the average in the other states, where people drive only 14,263 miles per year. This huge difference in mileage is largely due to how sparsely populated Wyoming is, and it is not uncommon for people to drive for an hour or more just on their commute to work. So, when it comes to driving 30 minutes, that's our equivalent of driving a few blocks. Number 5. This one from my sister, Brenna, is too good not to share. Only in Wyoming could you stop at a car accident where an elderly lady hit a deer, offer to give her a ride to Thermopolis since you were headed to Riverton, and find out she was your great-grandmother's roommate in college, and they did karate together. I can guarantee no one else has had a similar experience. I don't even know what to say about this one, really. From giving a ride to an old lady who hit a deer, to discovering your great-grandmother did karate in college, I guess that's just a uniquely Wyoming experience. Number 6. Only in Wyoming do you wear a parka and sunscreen on the same day. The high country is notorious for its freezing spring days, but the high altitude and thin atmosphere means you can still get toasted when it's 40 degrees outside. It's also not uncommon for you to start the day with the heater running in your car and end the day with the AC on full blast. Number 7. A couple more from my brother in Washington. Only in Wyoming can someone have more trailers than they have neighbors. Number 8. Only in Wyoming is business casual a pearl snap button down with semi-clean cowboy boots. Number 9. My mom said, only in Wyoming will you see people taking their picture with your population sign. That one is absolutely true. In Otto, while mowing the grass at the baseball field during the summer, I saw multiple tourists stop to take their picture with our population sign. Apparently, a town with a population of 50 is an aberration in other states. When I introduce myself to people in other states, I like to say that I'm from the sprawling metropolis of Otto, Wyoming. It's fun to watch people's faces when they look it up. And number 10, my sister-in-law in Washington says, only in Wyoming will you see a firework warehouse almost as big as our natural grocers. I know exactly what she's talking about. Wyoming's neighboring states to the south have much stricter firework laws than we do, and this tends to make Wyoming something of a pyrotechnic destination around the 4th of July. So, there are enormous warehouses in Wyoming stocked with enough fireworks to supply a small army. America. As you can tell, I'm slightly biased when it comes to the Cowboy State, but most people are proud of where they come from. One of my college professors once told me that her middle school students on the East Coast told her that you could tell how interesting a state is to live in based on its shape. They pointed to New York, which you could say has a very unique shape. That, they said, is an interesting place to live. California has a cool shape. Florida, Alaska, they too are oddly shaped and therefore interesting. Pennsylvania, not so much. And then they pointed to the West. North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, Nebraska, very boring. But worst of all, Wyoming and Colorado. Those must be the most boring states in the whole United States, her students informed her. Well, it depends what you call interesting. I will personally take mountains and wide open spaces over cities, amusement parks, and shopping. Other states are fun to visit, but when it comes to a place to live and raise children, I say only in Wyoming. Well, there you go. Top 10 only in Wyoming. And chances are you might have a few to add to the list. If you do, I'd love to hear about them. And if you think that one of these actually happens in your state as well, I'd also love to hear about it. And so, happy 4th of July to everybody, and thanks for listening to Untold Tales from This Side of Nowhere. If you have a comment or a question, please feel free to shoot me an email at untoldtalesthepodcast@gmail.com or comment on this post when it drops on Facebook. This has been another Untold Tale from This Side of Nowhere, where we work twice as hard for half as much, and still find time for the important things, like fishing. See you next time, folks.